subject of the Black Road Regiment is one that I've got about 16 pages of notes here, and we can keep going. I can't exhaust it in the small amount of time I have here today. But I can reassure you this. The men of God of that day were a whole lot different than the men of God today. Back then, they were preachers. Today, we have administrators, program coordinators, you name it. Our churches don't need those things. They need men who will stand up and give expositions of the Word of God. What does God say? May God help us to cry out for those kind of men. May heaven hear and bless with what this nation truly needs. It needs to get back to its foundation. If the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? Make that foundation clear. In a group this size, there's no doubt there are people here that don't agree with each other. I don't even agree with myself half the time. I can look back 10 years ago and look at things I thought I don't agree with now. The truth of the matter is there's got to be some fundamentals, some foundational truths we can unite around. And if this is not one of those truths, I don't know what is. This nation and its foundation is built upon biblical principles.
That's right.
This was built as a biblical, constitutional republic. We do not need to apologize that to every ism that floats upon our shores and demands its protection. We are Christians, and I'm not ashamed of that. And I'm not bowing to Islam. I'm not bowing to every ism that floats onto our shore. We must retake our nation once again. Every generation has a time for its patriots to rise. But listen, let me warn you. I preached the message today in regard to America's failure. Let me warn you that what we have seen propagated here in the last few months especially has revealed a problem. God's Word gives a pattern to manage that problem. It has also shown us exactly where it's going to take us. Paralysis and anarchy. Much of the nation has been paralyzed over these actions of tyrants. Many are fed up. Many are sick of it. And you know what a knee-jerk reaction to that would be? Anarchy. We cannot afford anarchy. We must do that which is right in the eyes of God. There's a time for peace, time to dance, time to laugh, there's a time to cry, there's a time for war. And whether that time comes or not, I don't know. I don't long for it. I don't want it. I know what it means. But the leaders behind us are supposed to be led by the people. They've been out of control for a long time. And it's high time the people step up and say, this is how we're going to do things. God bless you.
Great job. Didn't I tell you guys he would blow the house off? Wow. Since we're talking about the faith of the original Patriots, and he just gave you a great talk on that. But there's one thing that a lot of people have never heard before. You've all heard, give me liberty or give me death, right? And who said that? Come on. Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry is probably my favorite of all the original Patriots. And you know what? Our sign right over there for the Made in Heaven Foundation sums up what he was about. Love God and live free. When I study the lives of people like Patrick Henry or Joan of Arc, they always have that in common. They have this great passion for God, and out of that, they have a passion for freedom. And that's what we got to get back to in this country. Like he said, there's good churches and bad churches, but a lot of churches today are just lukewarm. They don't have that passion. No passion for God anymore. How do we expect to have freedom? What the original Patriots understood, this is what Samuel Adams said. He said, freedom is a gift from God. But if it's a gift from God, then doesn't it make sense? We got to have the power of God in order to protect that freedom. That's what he expects from us. And that's what we're trying to do here today, is show people we got to go to God. That's the power that can take on any corrupt politician anywhere, and it's done so in history. Let me read to you what Patrick Henry said right before he said, give me liberty or give me death. And it shows how much faith he had. And he understood that that's where the power was going to come from to win freedom for the original patriots. He said, "But we shall not fight our battle alone. There is a just God that presides over the destinies of nations. The battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." I've been reminded that we forgot to do a Pledge of Allegiance when we opened the service, and they were very correct. So we're going to have, and right after the Pledge of Allegiance, how many veterans do we have out here? Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force. Well, we're going to do the Armed Forces medley. I'm going to play you. I'm sure you're tired already of me speaking, so you're going to get to listen to Gary Sinise at the National Memorial Day service, which of course is canceled this year. Are you kidding me? We're the only gathering in the whole country, apparently, to honor soldiers today on Memorial Day weekend. What is going on? So, come on up here, Jeff Johnson, and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
USA! That's right. So all of us are proud soldiers today, standing for our freedom. But we're going to honor all of you and the original American soldiers. That's who we've been talking about. The guys that were there.
We would now like to salute all the men and
And
women.
I'll turn it over to Gary Sinise. I forgot something. We have a lady down here named Christina that out of her own pocket has bought 100 flags that she wants to give to any of you that are veterans. She's right down here in front. So any of you that want a flag, come get it from her right now as we play the song and honor our soldiers. And just follow along with Gary Sinise. He's going to call out. First it's going to be Coast Guard. Cheer your heads off. He's going to go through the different armed forces, and then we'll all cheer together.
Come down front. Go get your flag, sir.
That's what we're ready to do. As the orchestra and chorus perform the Armed Forces medley, we invite those of you in the audience who have served or who are currently serving to please stand and join in as your song is presented.
Yeah, absolutely. Come down front when your service is called. Of course, we got a colonial soldier here too today.
United States Air Force.
Air Force, you got any Air Force guys here? Thank you for your service.
United States Navy.
United States Navy. Who's in the Navy? Yeah. Thank you for your service. United States Marine Corps. Who served? Who's a jarhead with us today? Larry Mott. Hey. God bless you. Thank you all for your service. with the Army. We got a bunch of them out there. God bless you for your service. Next, you saw a lot of live soldiers come up here, and thank God they all made it back. You know, I'm sure some of them were probably in some serious combat, and thank you again for that. But what we want to do now, I'm going to play taps, and let's just have a moment of silence for all the soldiers going all the way back to the sacrifices they made. And by the way, I was reminded earlier by one of the guys that's standing right here with the 50 caliber. What a gun. We were talking about how the sacrifices that these soldiers have made should never be taken in vain. That's exactly what General George S. Patton said after World War II in his speech. He said, do not let all these sacrifices that these men have made for you be in vain. And that's what's happening in our country now. These guys have sacrificed their lives, bled for you, they've sweated for you, they've given everything they had, their last full measure, for freedom. And the least we can do is try to do the same. To me, the best way to honor any soldier that has ever fought for freedom is to do the same. Is that not correct? Amen. Amen. So let's have a moment of silence and we'll play taps for all of them. All right, you guys ready for another great speaker? We've got Wesley Morgan with us. Some of you heard him yesterday. Did a great job. And he's friends with the last guy that just talked. So they're a lot alike. So he's going to talk a lot about these constitutional violations, not only by our governor, but some of our other elected officials from right here in Kentucky. Because there's very few that are actually doing the job that we're paying them to do. So Wesley, take her away.
Thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. My name is Clinton Wesley Morgan. I am running for the United States Senate against Mitch McConnell in the Republican primary on June 23rd, 2020. Please get out and vote, whatever you do. It's going to take a grassroots effort to beat McConnell, and you can guarantee that the establishment will turn out to vote. We've got to have you turn out to vote. Kevin, can you come on up front? Let me tell you a little bit about the Second Amendment. Second Amendment, if we allow it to be taken from us, there's going to be bad consequences. When Hitler took the people's rights to bear arms, the first thing he did is started killing people. When Stalin took it in Russia, the first thing he did is start killing people. When Mao in China took their gun rights from them, the first thing they did was start killing people. If you look at these signs, if you allow your Second Amendment to be taken from you, that will be somebody's wife and somebody's little girl that they're going to be shooting in the back of the head somewhere, because that's the first thing they do is start killing people when they take their guns. That is the very first thing. So be aware of what your politicians are doing to you. Now, we'll talk a little bit about Mr. McConnell and what he's done with the Second Amendment. He's voted against your Second Amendment rights 6 times. As early as this spring of 2019, Mitch McConnell was out there. He was saying that they were going to have hearings on red flag laws. Red flag laws are unconstitutional. You can't determine whether or not a person's going to commit a crime before they commit it. So that's the first thing. Actually, the most recent thing he's done against your Second Amendment rights. 2013, McConnell cut a deal with the Democrats to allow the Obama second term nominees to sell to the Senate. Included in that deal was a confirmation of an anti-gun zealot, Todd Jones, to serve as director of ATF. McConnell let this guy become the director who had no respect for your Second Amendment rights. In 2011, May 16th, McConnell voted against Senator Rand Paul's amendment to block authority under the Patriot Act to obtain your gun records. Why they need your gun records? So they can make a registry of who's got guns. In 2004, February 26, McConnell voted for an amendment by Senator Barbara Boxer, Democrat of California, prohibiting the sale or the transfer of handguns by a licensed manufacturer, importer, or dealer unless a secure gun storage or safety device is provided by each gun. McConnell is not your friend when it comes to the Second Amendment. In 2000, McConnell voted for Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat of Illinois, amendment to spend taxpayers' funds for the Department of Education grants used to disseminate gun control agenda in schools and through public service announcements. The only reason for that is to try to indoctrinate your children so that they will be willing to give up their guns. In 1999, McConnell voted for Senator Herb Coles, he's Democrat from Wisconsin, amendment requiring that all guns be sold with trigger locks. 1991, McConnell voted for 1991 crime bill sponsored by his buddy Joe Biden that imposed a waiting period for handguns and a ban on 14 types of so-called assault rifles. This is what your Kentucky United States Senator has done. Fourth Amendment. McConnell voted against the Fourth Amendment by making the Patriot Act permanent, which authorizes unprecedented surveillance powers to the federal government. And he stated that the Patriot Act is one of the most important overdue pieces of legislation in a generation, and declared it did not go far enough. Even though this allowed for U.S. citizens to be declared domestic terrorists and detained indefinitely. Now, that was one of the fears that they had in Virginia when they were trying to go against the governor of Virginia. They were afraid that they would be declared domestic terrorists and they would be put in prison and held indefinitely without trial. This is the kind of stuff that you would think that somebody's making up, but it's not. It's true. McConnell voted for the FISA Amendments Act of 2008, which granted immunity to U.S. telecommunications company for giving information about their customers to the government without a warrant. Read the Fourth Amendment. You don't supposed to be able to get stuff like this without a search warrant.
Right.
No search warrant. As recently as this month, May 2020, McConnell led the fight for reauthorization of the 2001 Patriot Act, and his personal amendment explicitly permits the FBI to collect records of Americans' internet searches and browsing histories without a warrant. This guy's not your friend. He's not a friend of liberty.
Roll them out.
Now let me tell you some stuff that you don't know about. Talk about the First Amendment for a second. Anybody here heard about the Smith-Mont Act? The Smith-Mont Act was passed in 1948, and it prohibited government propaganda from being used in the American news media. Mitch McConnell, as the Senate Minority Leader, Harry Reid, as the Senate Majority Leader, flipped the repeal of the Smith-Mont Act into the 2013 National Defense Authorization Act. The act where we give all the money to our military, where you slip it in where people can't see. Mitch McConnell and Harry Reid created fake news because they repealed the Smith-Mont Act. Now it's become legal to lie to you. And that's what they've been doing. They've been lying to you. The gall this guy has, he acts like he's a friend of President Trump. After President Trump was elected in November the 8th of 2016, Mitch McConnell personally slipped into the 2017 National Defense Authorization Act, House Bill 5181, a bill that was co-sponsored by Ted Lieu, one of the biggest liberals in California. That bill was called Countering Foreign Disinformation and Propaganda Act. Created a $160 million slush fund to be used by the Broadcasting Board of Governors to censor conservative content in the social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. The senator did that, and he hid it into the 2017 National Defense Authorization Act. But there's another little thing he did in that same bill. Up until that time, the Broadcasting Board of Governors, who oversaw all the media in America, consisted of 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, one, and the Secretary of State was his 9th member. He abolished He put in one director. And he passed the bill so that Obama got to appoint that director before Trump was sworn in. And to this day, 3.5 years into President Trump's term, Mitch McConnell has still refused to confirm the president's nominee to take over the directorship of the Broadcasting Board of Governors. To this day. And then he acts like he's a friend of the president. He's not. Mitch McConnell's done so many things to hurt us. In 2001, McConnell actually participated in passing the No Child Left Behind that created unprecedented federal involvement in education, complete violation of the 10th Amendment. They have no authority in education. They should not be indoctrinating our children, and that's what they're doing. And that's how they get these people that grow up to go along with their tyranny, is because they know no better. Another thing that he did that really, really stands out. In 2014, he included in the appropriations a change in the campaign finance law. I'm running against Mitch McConnell for the United States Senate. A person can donate $2,800 to me. That is as much as they can donate. How much they can donate to Mr. McConnell? $324,000. Think about that. Think about if you're an incumbent, you can get a donation of $324,000. It's got to go to the Republican Senatorial Reelection Committee, but you don't give me $2,800. They're rigging the race for them. Let me tell you what I believe in. I believe as an American you should be free to worship Jesus Christ without persecution. By the way, the previous speaker is my pastor. I will join him any day of the week that he starts a Black Robe Regiment. I will fight alongside him. I have never met a man that is a more true patriot than Cliff Christman. Ever. I believe you should be free to protect the life of the unborn and express your view that abortion is morally wrong. I believe you should be free to educate your children without government indoctrination. I believe you should be free to protect your family from all threats without fear of being imprisoned for the possession of a firearm. I believe you should be free to enjoy the fruits of your labor without being taxed absolutely to death. I believe you should be free to obtain health care without government interference and according to the free market. Thank you. And which is illegal because the Constitution has a commerce clause that only affects trade between states, but they've used it to prohibit you from going to another state and getting health care. That's ridiculous. You should be able to get health care wherever you can find it cheapest. Free to express your opinion without fear of reprisal or censorship. We saw cement when President Trump was running for the nomination for the Republican nomination for president. Hitting women with eggs and beating people up trying to go to the rallies and so forth. Unbelievable. Free to be treated fairly and prosper in peace and safety. It's up to the government to provide the law enforcement and the judicial system to make sure that you can live your life without being afraid about someone running over you somewhere or killing you or harming your family. You should be free to have a news media that does not promote untruths through propaganda. Now I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you when I become your senator. I will fight to put God back in America, especially in our schools, because the First Amendment does not allow the government to interfere in education or religion. I will fight to enforce the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I will stand up even if you find me floating in the Potomac River. I will stand up against those tyrannical people that's in that Congress. I will stand up against them. They may kill me, but I will give my life for my family and for the freedom of this country. I will fight to make Congress obey its own laws and their oath of office. They do not obey their oath of office. I will fight to secure our borders and stop unlawful aliens from entering into our country and institute a 10-year moratorium on immigration into this country until we get this country under control. I will fight to make it illegal any payment from the United States government to a non-citizen. We have no business giving money to people who are not citizens. I will fight to stop any type of aid to foreign governments until we have a balanced budget and are not borrowing money in order to give it to them. I will fight to pass a constitutional amendment to require term limits for Congress. By the way, I'm an automatic term limit. I'm 69 years old. One term, maybe two. Automatic term limit. And here's a really important. Make any congressional leadership position also a term limit. You can't become majority leader and spend forever in it. You can't become the Speaker of the House and spend forever in it. That needs to be limited, just like the president is. I will fight to abolish the Internal Revenue Service and prohibit direct taxation to United States citizens. The mere thing of auditing you is an absolute violation of the Fourth Amendment. I will fight to prohibit campaign contributions to any candidate unless the contribution comes from a voter who is legally allowed to vote for that candidate, not the Sierra Club in California. I will fight to require mandatory drug screening before and during welfare or government assistance. If you are going to get government assistance, please, you have no right to violate the laws of the United States. I will fight to pass laws to hold government officials and employees personally liable for their crimes or violations of citizens' constitutional rights if that action was illegal or negligent. The Constitution is the law of the land. Nothing can supersede the Constitution. Nothing. Our political leaders, they're not called out fellow leaders who consistently violate the Constitution. The answer is simple. Most of them do not follow the Constitution either. Their political incumbents are concerned about being accepted by the political elites, and they're not concerned about your constitutional rights. That's what's wrong with everything. Mitch McConnell to end the illegal and unconstitutional shutdown of our state tomorrow by simply demanding that Governor Beshear follow the Constitution or lose federal funding, or at worst, direct the United States Attorney General to prosecute these people who are violating your constitutional rights. But McConnell will never do that because he agrees with the shutdown. It is all about the election and destroying the economy of President Trump has built to this country. It's about the election. One thing is clear, until you, the citizens, wake up and remove these unconstitutional tyrants from your lives, you will never be free. You will always be at their mercy. It is up to you. Please go to Morgan4Senate2020.com and join the fight to remove these tyrants from your life. Thank you very much.
All right, sorry about that little delay, but hey, I got a guy for you here. He's from the west end of Louisville. He has a church down there, and he's been shut down, like so many of you. He's also a Marine, and his name is Pharaoh Nuahzee. Did I get that right?
First and foremost, I definitely like to recognize the one that lifts me up every day and that I recognize and acknowledge before I hit the ground and praying as well as bowing down, prostrating to him before I go to bed at night.